many thanks, Chuck. Welcome to Generation Skywalker. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it. I guess you guys are super busy at the moment. I know there's a lot of Star Wars lots in there, but that is one hell of an auction. Again, just going through the catalogue, even after the Star Wars, there is an incredible amount of lots you've got going through. But I know just from the Star Wars side of things, and especially the vintage side of things, how excited the community is. When we first started seeing the images appearing on Facebook and on the internet back in November, and I think everyone was just like, oh my god, what is happening? And I think how true they were, but the rumours that things were going to be going in lots and there was going to be sort of seven 20-back fets going in one auction, it got everyone pretty excited. But
well, the first response was fake, you're making this one fake, right? And then everybody was like, maybe it's not fake. And then they posted some more pictures, and it became clear that it was for real.
It just looked incredible. And just even, I think it's the scope. It's kind of amazing to see that many figures in one sort of photo or set of photos. But it's just mixed with the quality, I think. It's just those two things coming together, which is just incredible. And then you've got those sort of the real highlights, the Fets, the DT Lukes, and then just sort of some highlights on top. So it's just a real mix and just the amount of it. But if you want to just sort of going back a little bit, I wasn't aware myself of Morphy's, obviously from the UK. They hadn't really been on my radar. But do you want to give us a quick intro into yourself, what you do for Morphy's and to Morphy's itself, please?
Sure. So I got connected with Morphy through their find. So when they posted the pictures and they started doing what you said, where they're like, "Hey, I'm going to sell all the Lukes together and all the Fets together and all this together," I'm like, you might want to rethink that.
Indeed.
So I sent them a message and I was like, "Hey, crazy find. I'm not too far from you guys. I'm about an hour and a half down the road drive." And I said, I've got no skin in this game, but if you want to try to do it a little bit different and kind of maximize what you're going to get out of this and make it positive for the collecting community, I'd be happy to help. And I'm sure they got a lot of those type of emails. And I don't know why, but he picked me and, had some phone conversations with him, texted back and forth a bunch of times. He's like, well, why don't you come up? And I went up there and my jaw hit the floor first.
Indeed, I can imagine.
And a lot of holy bleeps came out of my mouth, and he's like, get to work. I was like, okay. So, I worked with them to get things turned around, going from all of the Lukes and all the Leias and all the Vaders being individual lots to parsing them out and making them more accessible for the general community, right? I mean, not many people could afford an auction with eight 20-back Fets in it or whatever, or, 5 DT Lukes, or even 4 or 5 12-backs. I mean, that starts to get pricey. And so, obviously they've got a business and they've got requirements that they have and that they have to follow. So I had to straddle the line between what I thought was best for the collecting community and what they needed to do from a business perspective. And the vast majority of the lots are broken down into single figures now. Maybe it made sense to group them together. You've got 3 or 4 Jedi carded figures that aren't going to be like a huge cost on them. So maybe throw those together.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Power Force cards.
Yep.
But one in particular we definitely wanted to keep together was the box of Yodas.
Yes, that's incredible.
A shipper box with 24 Yodas in it. And they all stayed together, so I was happy about that one.
That is an incredible lot. Yeah, that's already... Is that up to about... It's gone over 10 grand, I think, that lot already. I just having a flick through this afternoon.
To circle back, I'm just a collector. I am not employed by Morphy. I was lucky enough to be chosen to help them do this the right way. And that's really the affiliation.
Yeah. Wonderful. So you've kind of had a pretty cool experience along the way as well.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, it did just grow. I think that, as with you, obviously you're a collector, you would have seen it with similar eyes to me, and it's just like, okay, if that happens, it's going to be wild. There's collectors with deep pockets in this world, and that would have it would have been interesting to see what that would have gone for. But I think it's far sensible, and for all concerned, how it has turned out. And I think just every step of the way, it's like when the acrylic cases came in and all got started getting set out, and it just seemed to just really take shape and just as it's developed, it just looks fantastic. And those videos, I remember seeing those videos, that sort of sweeping shot with all the glass cases and them all just sort of like perfectly lined up symmetrically. It's just, museum quality stuff. It's absolutely incredible.
It is crazy, and I have to give the Morphy team a lot of credit because I came in with suggestions that were completely polar opposite to what they were planning on doing, and they listened.
Yeah.
And they said, okay. So there was no protection on them initially. I said, we got to get them in some cases. They're like, all right, cool, we're going to get these start cases and throw them in. I was like, how about if we do it this way? And they're like, but it's a lot more expensive. I said, you're talking about a $2,000-$3,000 figure. In a lot of these cases, you're going to cheap out on a $12, $15 case.
Indeed. You could have struck up some kind of commission deal with Ian's displays and said, how about I get...
Well, I did work with Ian. And, he was very nice, and I brought him in early on, and I said, look, this thing's crazy. They've got an immediate need.
Yeah.
I'm going to introduce you guys, and you guys can figure it out. But here's the introduction. Have at it. They figured it out. So Ian was great. I'll give him some.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy. He's obviously I know him back in the day in the UK collecting scene. Yeah. So the acrylics do bring so much to the table, and I think the display that you guys have put it in, and the glass cabinets, and having it in the acrylic just brings so much more to the party and just the display. So
again, I give them a lot of credit. They listened, and they wanted to do it the right way, and they continue to want to do it the right way.
Indeed, yeah. And just looking at other reading sort of bits online, the consignee wants it all gone in one day, doesn't he? He wants it done.
That is correct. So some of the suggestions I came back with was like, hey, you might want to get some of these graded. They're really, really nice.
Yeah.
And you can probably get a better price for them. And he's like, nope, that's not in the cards.
I want it done.
Consigner wants them sold, doesn't want to wait the 6 months to get them back from grading, doesn't want to pay the grading fees, just wants to move them.
Wants it gone.
Again, that's the balance between what might be right for the collectors community and what the consigner wants. I mean, he is technically the owner of these figures.
Yeah, and I think the obviously the grading side of things adds people who want the assurance of the quality. It's for them. Personally, it's not my preferred route, but I think it's great how it is being done, and the fact it's all in one day just adds to the excitement. And I think there'll be a lot of people looking at sort of seeing what's going to happen. And it's interesting. So many of the US auctions, like the Hague's, Prop Store, that sort of level, which this is obviously at, it's all graded, and everything going through them is graded. So it's going to be fascinating to see this level of quality going through ungraded. So
I can't wait. It'll be really exciting. So they will be sold in the single day on February 1st. The auction format is kind of cool because you can actually call in now and bid. You can go online and register and bid online now. But the hammer actually drops on February 1st in person at their gallery.
So they'll be going through as individual lots, like that more sort of traditional auction.
Yeah, so it's a traditional auction, but it's also got the hybrid kind of approach where you can go online and do your thing now.
And start, yeah.
It's going to be super exciting. I'm going to be there for it in person.
Excellent.
It's a lot of fun.
That sounds good. Yeah, have you got a lot of people heading over? How many seats have been booked?
I don't honestly know that. I've talked to a number of people, and a bunch of people are like, "Yeah, I think I'm going to try to make it out. If nothing else, to see the spectacle. I mean, it's crazy."
I think it's one of those things just to see the cabinets and to see that collection together before it gets broken up. And
yeah, so those you mentioned the videos where they're panning across the glass cases.
Yes.
That's in Morphy's gallery, so that's right in their auction house, and they've got them all set up in those glass cases, and they just look amazing.
It does look fantastic. So you're on the East Coast.
I am, yeah.
Well, big collector community. So whether people will be heading in there, you could probably sell some popcorn, I imagine, as well on the on the back of it.
It's cool. They do have a nice big auction room. I don't know the exact term that they would use for it, but it's exactly what you'd expect from a real live legit auction. I mean, Morphy does a lot of different things, not just this, obviously.
Indeed.
They're not new to the auction world. They're not new to this process.
No.
Star Wars was a little bit out of their wheelhouse, which is how I got to be involved, but this is not new to them as a whole. So, some of the questions that have come up was like, what about shipping?
They're on it, yeah.
That is one of my concerns, and one of the things I expressed to them early on is like, if you don't take the care to properly pack these things and ship them right, you risk damage in transit. And even packed properly, sometimes stuff happens, and but I think my goal is to make sure that I educate them on how to do this so that we minimize damage in transit. Yeah,
brilliant. No, it sounds good. And I think it is a worldwide phenomenon, obviously, and there's going to be people looking from across the world, and there's people just will be after certain pieces, and just sort of some of the clear bubbles there, and as I say, the quality and the quantity is going to certainly bring people into it, and whether that's the high-end side of it, and there's obviously a lot of, as you say, the Empire and the sort of the Jedi cards which have been put into into groups, which makes a lot of sense. And I know there's quite a few on there that I'll probably be looking at and seeing if I can get involved. So I think I'm going to clear the weekend before just to make the list to go through the 400 lots. Just looking at the website, looking through the catalogue, and I think I urge anyone who's just interested in toys or history in general just to flick through that catalogue, just because there's so much in it. All the tops, the trading cards, the robots and everything. It's a fascinating sort of 3 days.
It's beautiful. I mean, the catalogue is beautiful.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be fun. So is it all Star Wars on the first day, or does it go on to other?
I think they're trying to keep it just Star Wars on the first day. Obviously, we've got what they're calling the Find, right?
Yeah.
The Morphy Find, and that's close to 400 figures. I don't exactly remember the number. But there is also other stuff in the auction that is not from that find that's also pretty darn impressive. A set of boxed large-size action figures. There's trading cards. There's a lot of graded loose figures.
Yes.
Some graded minimal card figures. So there's a wide variety of stuff. The mail-away, the early bird mail-away.
Yes,
is in there.
that's lovely. Yep.
As well. Yeah.
No, it's good. It's certainly going to bring people to the party. And I think you mentioned it before that Morphy wasn't necessarily known in the Star Wars community, but I think that changed from late November. There's no going back. There's no going back. And yeah, I guess that will attract more. We've seen it in the UK. Certain auction houses get a sort of a large consignment similar to this, where a family have collected and sort of no one's really known about it, and then all of a sudden they want to move it on. And we had one in the UK just as lockdown started. There was a large Pally toy collection that went through one of our auction houses, and they were known about, but they weren't really known for the Star Wars side of things. And since then they have had more Star Wars, and it brings more out of the lofts and the attics of this world, doesn't it? And people realise, and each new auction, each new find, the level goes up higher, and those dollars talk, don't they? People think, oh, what have I got in the loft, and start having a look. And so it's fascinating. So the press has been amazing. I know, sort of just doing a Google search and things just picking up. And it's been sort of picked up in the States, and even the Sun, the UK sort of tabloid newspaper, they ran an article on it as well. And I
saw that.
Yeah, they managed to get the wrong photo. I think they had a Pally toy on there, which got everyone even more excited. So it was their mistake, but you'll probably got more people on. And I'm sure once the numbers are sort of realised and you sort of get the amount that's taken, that's always the big. Always seems to really pick up the news after the event.
Yeah.
And so
I will say, on the pricing thing too. So when I worked with Morphy to try to put together some of the estimates on some of the lots, they asked me to be conservative, and their approach on starting bids is that they start each auction at half of the conservative estimate.
Okay, yeah.
Half of the low of the conservative estimate. So they really try to make it accessible to the community to at least get your toe in there. Go bid. Give it a shot. You never know.
Yeah, given the amount of some of these figures and the quality of all of them, there certainly is something for everyone. We don't know how it's going to go on the day, but it's like all these auctions, you always like to think one or two things go under the radar. There's a lot of savvy buyers out there now, but you never know. There's a lot of lots there to get involved with. So very much.
You also mentioned the quality too. So some of the early Star Wars figures, 12, 20, 21 backs, most of those never saw store shelf.
Yeah.
From what we're told, right? But even if you look at some of the Jedi carded figures that quite commonly have those yellow bubbles.
Yeah.
Some of those bubbles, even on like a common figure, like an Emperor's Royal Guard or something like that, the bubbles are just so clear, and the cards are so incredibly nice. It's just, I was holding them, I was like, man.
Yeah, you just don't see it. You never see it. And your eyes are trained to seeing them with the sort of the brown bubbles. And when you do see photos, or I guess seeing them in person must be amazing when you actually see them with the clear bubbles and just think, wow, he obviously, whether by design or by luck, he got the whatever condition and the climate and the conditions they were kept in were pretty perfect. So
luck, and that's another thing that's come up quite a bit. Is like how did this come to be? How does someone just have these figures? So, maybe just take a minute to touch on that. So the consigner, the owner currently, had a connection with one of the members of the Morphy team. Had never really bought or sold anything with them, but they knew each other. They were into other common interests. And they would see each other at trade shows and things like that where those things would be exchanged. And they happened to run into each other, I guess, earlier in 2022, I think is when the timing was. And he just mentioned, hey, I've got these figures sitting in the closet. I think I want to sell them. And they developed a relationship over the years, and the guy said, I want you to sell them for me. And they're like, all right, cool. They really had no idea what it was at that point. Morphy did. So they went out and took a look, and they were shocked. They were like, all right, this is a lot of figures, and they are really, really nice. I don't think, first of all, the consigner, the current owner, wishes to remain anonymous.
Yeah.
He's a Midwest owner. He has chosen that he just doesn't want to have his name out there. It's been made very clear that this is all he had. This is all there is. Even if you figure out who they came from, don't bother the man.
There's nothing there.
He's an older gentleman. He bought these for his children. Is how the story goes. So I have questions there too. So, but allegedly he bought one for them to open and one for them to keep and sock away. Which obviously we found the socked away ones.
Yes.
But if they weren't that into the Star Wars thing, because that's how the story went, is they just kind of didn't have a lot of interest. Maybe I do that, and maybe I sock away 2, 3, maybe 10 figures. But I think maybe after the 10th one, I figured it out that they're just not into it. But somehow this went on to almost 400 figures where this guy keeps on putting them away.
Kept buying. He kept trying. A for effort to try and get them interested.
Thank you, because they got stored away in his closet and were kept in the original shipper boxes. The shipper boxes are up on the auction as well.
Yeah, so those.
They're gorgeous.
Yeah.
They're beautiful figures.
Yeah. He obviously was in early to get the sort of the 12 backs and the early stuff you've got, and then just kept. So whether he was buying them from just going into toy shops and asking for the stock and just buying the cartons, he obviously was taking the trade boxes or ordering them directly. But
that's the best I can tell, is that he had some type of a relationship with someone in retail where they would get them in and he'd say, just give me the box.
Yeah.
Because every now and then, one of the Star Wars figures does have a price tag on it from here or there. And that's my best guess, is he just had some type of relationship, had the idea that he's just going to buy these and sock them away.
Went to the storeroom, grabbed what was left, and then took off the shelf and then just put them in there, and then tried with the kids again. They said no, and they went in the loft.
Best I can tell. Said, I have questions too, like, stop at maybe 10 minutes, one. But 400 at that point, I mean...
Indeed, no. It adds to the mystery of it, which is even better, I think. And I think the fact that there is multiples of some of the higher end figures as well. You have to see an inkling what to do buying the multiples of the really popular characters. And
well, I mean, really, it's all of the characters, the entire Star Wars range is represented. So every one of the first 21 figures is in this collection, right? So I don't know that he was very discriminative early on. He just grabbed what was there.
Yeah.
Did very well. But I don't think the other part of it is, I don't think he knows or knew, maybe he knows now, he didn't know what he had. He knew he had something, but I don't think he had any idea of the scale and the quality of what he had.
Yeah.
And what the impact is going to be. I mean, he's going to do pretty well here.
I think that family are certainly going to benefit. If they didn't benefit from opening the figures and enjoying it that way, and like in Star Wars, they're going to benefit. I think they're going to be there's going to be a good party in the spring at someone's house.
They might be able to go out to a nice steak dinner, yes.
Indeed. No, it's fantastic for him, and it's I was going to ask how he's doing, but it sounds like he's just kind of left it to you guys to get on with, and he'll just receive a check sometime and probably be very happy, I imagine.
I assume so. I guess that's how it works, yeah.
Indeed. So what's next? Have you got anything else lined up? Has anything been coming to the forefront for Morphy? Is there more to come? As I say, you're certainly on the radar now.
I haven't really heard. I think the excitement and the buzz is to get through this, and I'll tell you, it's a lot of work. The amount of effort that goes in to make this thing go is impressive. Again, they've put the time and effort into making sure they do this in a quality way. I mean, they've got like 6 stations that have full-on high-end camera gear set up to take pictures of every single item. They've got an integrated system that allows you to track each piece of inventory and all the images associated with it.
Wow.
And I think the focus now is, let's get through this and exhale and then see where things go. But I have not heard anything specific since then. Yeah,
the collector's world certainly know about this, and I think certainly after it happens, the wider world will pick up on it. And it's such a great story. Every big Star Wars auction seems to sort of hit the headlines on all the major news outlets. So
it is just crazy after 40 years or whatever it is to find all these figures.
Still finds coming out. It's incredible.
I wish I could get that lucky.
Indeed.